Okay. Well, good morning, and welcome to the third day of Red Hat Summit and JBoss World. Thanks for coming. My name is Pierre Fricke. I'm the Director of the Business and Product Marketing for Integration and BPM. And I'm joined by my colleague, Ken Johnson, who's the Director of Product Management for Integration and BPM. So we're excited to be here. We've had a lot of interesting announcements, a lot of interesting talks and sessions, a great party last night. How many people went to the JBoss party last night? It's 10:40, so we're recovered by now.
Yeah. Or that's where the other people are.
Oh, that's where some of the other people are still. Well, we'll get more fun later on today, and we're going to talk about some of the sessions that'll follow this, that'll build on what we're going to talk about. And then there's Fenway Park tonight, and the pub crawl back, and then the Innovation Awards and stuff, and Friday morning as well. So today we're going to talk about this notion of an intelligent integrated enterprise and how to build one of the Red Hat software and JBoss Enterprise middleware. And it's a vision that we've crafted working with our customers, partners, the community, and we'll get into what that means and get into some of the parts that make that up and so forth. So let's just go through what we're going to talk about. We'll just touch on some enterprise challenges and opportunities. I like using these scenarios. We've been, over the past couple of years in the integration and business process management space, when we do launches, we talk about it in the context of scenarios. Because when you talk about BPM software or integration software, it's kind of abstract. People in the larger ecosystem at large, particularly at the Red Hat Enterprise Linux level or at the application level and stuff, may not fully understand what some of this stuff does. But when we put it in the context of shipping industry, you kind of get, or telecom industry or healthcare industry or these different kind of things, people begin to click, particularly at the business level or deep in the technical level that sit in the infrastructure below us. We'll talk about this notion of intelligent integrated enterprise and in a reasonable amount of detail. Now, we're not going to go into a deep technical session here. We're going to refer you to other sessions that are going to go deeply into the technical products on an individual basis. There's not enough time to cover them all, but there's some great sessions that are already taking place and some great sessions that are going to do very deep dives on some of these things. There will be some technical content within this discussion, though, that Ken's going to lead us through. And then he's going to give it back to me. We're going to talk about an intelligent, I guess today's kind of an interesting day to do this, given what's going on with the healthcare today. We may even get news on this, but the intelligent integrated healthcare system from a provider point of view. I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Ken will talk about our new products announcements we did on Monday, version 5.3 of these products, and then we'll have some discussion on Q&A. So we're going to touch on a lot of topics here, and these URLs I don't expect you to copy, but these URLs are available on redhat.com, the Summit sessions, or on your phone. And there's a whole bunch of sessions that have already transpired, and you can look at the recordings when they're posted or get the slides on things like enterprise BRMS and merge messaging and these things. Virtualization, well, we're not going to major on virtualization on here. We're going to position virtualization within the notion of an intelligent integrated enterprise. There's some great sessions on that. CloudForms, OpenShift. You heard Brian Stevens talk about that this morning at some length. There's lots of great sessions that talk about that. We're going to talk about those in the context of this as well at a higher level. But I encourage you to use your mobile device or your redhat.com links to go check out some of the other sessions. So let's talk about some of the enterprise challenges and opportunities that we have. Some of the things that are challenging in our 2000s enterprise. Enterprise data is growing by 60% a year according to IDC. I thought that was pretty incredible. We've certainly seen that in some of the other presentations here, and I think a lot of us experience that in our business and our personal lives. Retail customers leave 50 gigabytes of data behind a year, is one data point we've seen, and that obviously is an average. I didn't realize I left that much behind, but then I think about what we do when we go to CVS or the grocery store and we get, or different kinds of stores, and we scan the little pin that we have, and they get a readout on what we buy, and then they offer us coupons and things. Actually, the intelligent integrated retail business can offer us things at the point of sale that make sense to us, and the things that we would be interested in buying either then or later. Business velocity is increasing. There's some interesting stats up here. I remember when I moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 2005, I got a phone from our house, and I went online and used the web application that was, somewhat integrated, although it didn't work that well, as I found out later. It took 2 or 3 days to get my phone fully configured. Can you imagine walking into the Apple store and say, buying an iPhone, and they say, well, a couple days it'll work? Not really too good. So we're getting a lot better than that. One of the things that's causing these, or driving these challenges is this notion of massive data and event volume. And we heard a bit about massive data volumes with Brian this morning, but I want to add to that massive business events. You know, we're getting hit by business events all the time in our businesses. One of the challenges associated with dealing with this data and business events is we have partial views of customers. We don't have all the information at our fingertips about our customers. And so therefore we can't make intelligent decisions about how to service our customers, how to offer them products, give them discounts, special deals that'll give them, delight them actually. The other thing that we see happening is that there's little or maybe manual analysis of data and event streams. And so that's something to be considered. This yields chaotic responsiveness. And I want to point out that poor agility is something we hear a lot about, but this is in the context of decision making, automated decisions or coded, hard-coded in Java code. We're going to spend some time talking about how to get much more agile with a JBoss Enterprise BRMS, the Business Rules Management System, how to make intelligent decisions and program intelligent decisions and give your business people view to those things, and they can become co-partners in creating that automated infrastructure so that we can understand what our IT infrastructure decisions are being made and make sure they're consistent and can be audited. We're going to talk about that at some length. Because when those decisions are buried in Java code, and they need to be viewed by analysts and they need to be changed quite a bit, it could take us, days, weeks, even, many weeks to redeploy those Java applications as opposed to maybe making change in hours. So what is an intelligent integrated enterprise? It's really about winning business execution. It's an organization that can respond to business events in real time with high quality answers, products, and services, and so, thus can delight its customers. That's really what it is. It's when you walk into the store, they either have what you want or they can get you what you want quickly. They can give you offers that may substitute what you want or satisfy other types of situations that you want as instantly as possible. Or you walk into a bank and you're refinancing 2 mortgages. And I did this back in 2003 with the same bank, and the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing, and it took hours and hours of reworking the legal paperwork to get that sorted out. That wasn't an intelligent integrated business. Intelligent integrated business would know exactly what I was refinancing both mortgages at the same time and would be able to expedite me through the system, assuming I'm qualified and so forth. In fact, they would know I was qualified because they would have the ability of the data to take a look at myself and see. So let's go into a shipping industry scenario here a little bit. So in the first scenario here, we see there's no automation or maybe some traditional application development, not traditional automation, but no real business process automation, or it's fairly weak, or it's coded in Java applications. And Java applications remain important in this scenario. But what ends up happening here is that you've got a wide variety of products and packages you need to ship around the world. We've showed boats here, but I mean, it could be trains, it could be trucks. And within the ecosystem of shipping, there's all kinds of events that we have to deal with that just traditional Java development, while important, doesn't handle very well. For example, we're getting hit with business events all the time. Equipment breaks down. Routes get clogged. Traffic patterns cause problems. There may be piracy off the coast of Somalia that's active that we might want to, or off the Straits of Malacca in Singapore area that we might want to route our stuff around. There's a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. There's a typhoon in the Pacific Ocean. Oil prices just spiked up, and my fuel costs just changed. These are the kinds of things that are inflicting opportunities and challenges to our business. And to the extent that we have a traditional architecture, from 10 years ago, we can't really respond to it, and we're going to make mistakes if we try to speed things through, or we're going to waste a lot of money. And it's going to take a lot of time to ship these things and cost us a lot of money to do that. There's better ways. One way to improve your basic Java and web-enabled application infrastructure is to do a BPM solution, a business process management solution, where you actually codify, work with the business to understand your business processes and codify those business processes in a way that IT can help execute the human task interaction, the system coordination, and so forth. And we do get better results. We have a better way of actually coordinating the workflows through here such that we can get better results, we can save some money, we can reduce errors, and things get better. However, there are challenges with this too. The first thing is the expensive BPM solution probably may not have complex event processing in it. It may not have the ability to deal with business events that are going on within your business processes. It also may have a situation where you don't have intelligent decisions. You got to buy a separate product to do business rules management, to do automated decision making. And the expensive BPM solution may have chewed up most of your budget. So while you've saved some money and made some improvements, we're not done. So we think there's a better way. And so let's talk about how this IT infrastructure then will help you build an intelligent integrated enterprise. The key thing is that we need to be able to capture business events. We need to be able to observe business events. Business events are going to be coming in from mobile devices. They're going to come in through portals and user interfaces. ESPs and messagings will be the fabric we get those business events into our IT infrastructure so that we can deal with them. Once we've got the business event in our IT infrastructure, probably as some kind of a message form or something, we need to integrate things like applications and services that are going to process the business event, the mortgage processing application, the shipping applications, things like that. What kind of services we're going to need to be available to process the business event. Some of these things may be hosted on app servers or in traditional applications. Some of them may be on the cloud, like OpenShift or CloudForms, and we can integrate those things with things like ESPs. We're going to want to do more than that, though. We're going to want to analyze the business event in the context of all the data associated with the party of the business event. Maybe it's the shipping product. Maybe it's the customer. We want to be able to understand that, and we use things like a data virtualization system to coordinate and connect various data sources together that are heterogeneous, big data, regular data, relational data, flat file data, and get a holistic view of the customer or the business event or the party of interest associated with the business event so that we can make intelligent decisions about that business event. And so then we use something like a business rules management system with event processing then to make decisions about the business event. What's Pierre Fricke's credit activity? What's going on around the world? What's the best way to ship this product? Or this thing. This shipping scenario, by the way, is based on real work with real customers. We've done some real work with real customers that do what we're talking about here, where critical packages are being shipped and need to be optimized. And so BRMS with event processing can help. And finally, we respond by kicking off a business process with a BPM system that can coordinate around the circle, dealing with all the business events until we're done and respond to the customer with the proper answer. The things in red are things that we announced with 5.3. In our products and Data Grid 6, and some of the cloud and OpenShift things that you heard earlier today. So those are the things that are new as of this past week in our product portfolio. So let's take a look. If we do the things on the previous slide, we end up with a shipping company that can actually respond to change. It can route things around hurricanes. It can reschedule equipment more efficiently. It can deal with weather patterns and energy spikes or shortages in parts of the world more efficiently, such that it can reduce costs and speed delivery of these packages and do more of it faster. And so this is what an intelligent integrated shipping company looks like, where you leverage things like process decision and rules management systems that optimize the business. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ken Johnson, who's now we're going to get a little bit deeper into how to build this with various products and capabilities. Ken?
Thanks, Pierre. Excuse me. So what we're going to do here is take a look at how a typical organization might go about implementing an intelligent integrated enterprise. And I say typical, but no organization is really typical. Everyone has their own unique problems, unique challenges, unique systems. But this hopefully is an illustrative example of, will address a lot of the systems and considerations you have in your worlds right now. So any integration or any pursuit of integration starts in the context of existing systems. I mean, you have a business now, you're running your business. You have applications and services and systems that you have to work with and work within. So if you start out looking at your business, you probably have you may have some customer-facing applications. Perhaps it's a retail e-commerce app that's facing your customers. They're interacting with you through it. Maybe that application is hosted in the cloud already. Maybe you're moving it to the cloud. Maybe it's not yet. It might be a good kind of application to target toward a cloud deployment that can deal with varying workloads of customer demand, depending if you have seasonality in your business, et cetera. You probably have some business and applications systems and data, typically your back office systems. They might be financial, it might be order processing, typical back office. And these could be a combination of applications and databases, data warehouses, et cetera. You also likely have your various line of business applications. So these could be order processing, they could be business intelligence and reporting, any number of capabilities. If you're implementing, perhaps you started down the path of SOA and you're doing service-oriented architectures, you may have a shared services team or multiple that are creating services. They're creating services that that are hosted and to be shared out among different applications and different groups. And you want to be able to integrate them. And perhaps even there, depending how sophisticated you are, you're looking at scaling out with cloud capabilities there for those services. If they truly are shared, you're looking at some sort of elasticity in your capacity. Maybe that's a hybrid cloud, maybe fully on-premise cloud, depending on the nature and sensitivity of your services. So here's an example of calculating interest, but there's various potential services that could be shared across your application domain in your organization. And you also have customer data. This could be your CRM system. I mean, here the poster child for being in the cloud is Salesforce.com, obviously, as the example of SaaS-based CRM. There are other CRM vendors that host their products in the cloud. You may have your own homegrown CRM system or some combination of using Salesforce for some part of it or some hosted system, as well as an internal system for tracking customer issues or managing your customer support. Depending on your business, and we'll kind of keep with the logistics or shipping scenario here, you may have field devices or sensors in your organization that produce information that you need to consider. So think of your shipping example. Trucks encounter weather issues, they encounter road conditions. Sensors on the trucks, you're shipping sensitive materials. They're sensitive to temperature changes. So these things are considerations you have to factor into your business. So if you want to start, the first step to integrating, developing the intelligent integrated enterprise is the low-level integration. Integrate your business, integrate your applications. And I like to think of this as a multi-layered approach. The first thing you need is connectivity. You need to connect your different systems together. But of course, these different systems don't speak the same language. They don't share information in the same format. So you're going to need to do some level of transformation to enable these systems to communicate, to enable them to make sense of each other's information and capabilities. You're likely going to be doing some routing. That is, taking information from one system, making sure it gets to another. New applications need to consume information from different systems. So you're routing messages, you're routing information around amongst your systems and applications. And you need to mediate, and that means really helping your systems communicate in a common language and deal with the different protocols and application interfaces these systems might have. So you can establish standard definitions for order, standard definitions for customer, et cetera, that your applications can be made to conform to so they can facilitate communication between them. That's really level one, sort of basic integration. Most people are doing some form of this in their enterprise right now, either with an off-the-shelf package or something homegrown. The next step up is to really address the data portion. Pierre touched on this before in terms of having a holistic view of the parties or entities that matter for your business. So you're going to need to integrate data from perhaps your back office systems, some of your other applications, other warehouses or marts that have emerged in your enterprise. You're going to need to access the data in these systems and bring it together so it can be integrated with the other applications that are consuming that information. And as you approach the data integration, you also should think about data abstraction. And that really is establishing a layer of indirection between your sources of information, including all the ugliness that's probably within your data and the details and the specificity of the different systems from the consumers that are going to ultimately consume that data. So if you establish a layer of abstraction, you introduce some loose coupling between your information consumers and the systems of record that you have organically in your enterprise. Okay, so as you've begun to integrate your enterprise systems, your services, your business logic, and your data, well, you start to have a new level of interconnectivity happening in your enterprise. And this is great. This is what you're after. But this introduces some challenges itself and some opportunities. So now that you've exposed some of your back office data through data integration or perhaps through connections and integration connections, you have more consumers of that information now. While perhaps the owners of those back office systems are now overloaded, you didn't plan for the additional load on those systems. So you might want to think about introducing distributed data caching capability. So here you can offload data from your systems, your back office systems, or whatever your information systems are, and cache that. So you can serve your high read loads or high demand loads from cache, the high speed turnaround, rapid SLAs, and buffer those systems from too much load, perhaps during the working hours or depending on the SLA you negotiate with the data owners. Likewise, if you embrace a distributed data cache, it gives you some opportunities if you are doing things with your online applications, your customer-facing web applications. If you have any kind of e-commerce site or a retail customer engagement channel through the web, the distributed data cache can provide an opportunity to do things like cache your high read load catalog data. So I think the stats are, of people that visit your typical e-commerce sites, 95% of the traffic is browsing, reading, poking around, researching. Maybe fewer percent are actually transactional. So why not offload the read, browse load in your application to be served from cache? Your pricing information, your catalog descriptions, your images. And then when somebody actually wants to transact with your system, then route them past the cache to your actual order processing systems in-house. So you can manage the load on your systems better as you integrate things and expose more of your systems to each other and to the outside world. Next, let's talk about these field devices. So field devices are a bit of a different breed of entity from your typical Java-based business application. They can be based on any number of languages. They're typically going to have they're going to be implemented in a native, sort of a native language, perhaps C on a small footprint device. So you need to be able to connect to these systems and bring them into the integrated enterprise as well. So you need a messaging system here. We think a messaging system is the appropriate solution that can speak multiple languages, that can speak, that has native interfaces, that can be custom clients can be developed on these to help integrate that information and the events generated by these systems into your enterprise. I think the field devices is a key source of events going forward that you need to respond to be able to adapt as business conditions and logistics conditions change. Well, let's not leave the business user out. You start integrating all these systems together, you're moving down the path. Well, what about your users within your enterprise? You have a whole different sets of different constituencies of end users. Well, as you bring these systems together, you need to think about the user experience of your customer service representatives, your order fulfillment folks. What are they going to be seeing on the screen? What is their interface going to look like as these systems are connected together? So you need to think about integrating and providing new experiences. This could be for mobile devices. For those of you who were able to attend the JBoss World keynote on Tuesday, hopefully you did. It was a really, really cool session using mobile devices for a field-enabled sales force that could order products through their mobile device, integrate back into the back office. So that's when you think about user experience, you need to be thinking about mobile and the channels with which your staff is going to be interacting with the business, as well as what you're going to be presenting to your customers. So you need to think about the overall user experience of your user constituencies. All right, now let's start talking about adding some intelligence to this. All we've been talking about mostly thus far is integration. It's connecting, it's enabling, it's optimizing in terms of the integration infrastructure. So let's talk about intelligence now. By using things like business process and business rules, you can start enforcing a level of normalization and standardization across your business processes. You can engage your business users. You can codify, excuse me, you can codify your business processes, so you start to have a level of standardization in your organization and a repeatability of your business processes. So as you're integrating things, you can bring another level of sort of business transformation to bear on your intelligent integrated enterprise. Likewise, with business rules, you can be responsive and more agile in the applications and integrations you're developing, because you can externalize business logic from your applications to make it more readily changeable without going through full application development, QA, and deployment cycles. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Likewise, you need to handle events. We talked a lot about events. You need an event processing framework, an event onboarding mechanism to be able to deal with what's happening in the world. As Pierre mentioned, it could be weather pattern changes, traffic changes, what have you, political instability. Many things happen from the small to the large that may impact decisions that you're making in business processes you're running. So for example, if referring to the JBoss keynote, we were showing an example where there was a sales process, orders over a certain amount of, a certain dollar value had to be approved by the vice president. Things were getting backlogged in the enterprise because too many approvals were going to him. So by quickly changing some business rules, we were able to change the criteria that governed whether the vice president had to approve an order before it could be submitted. So in real time, you can make this change, your business process is updated, and you can start addressing the backlog of the clogs in your system. So a very powerful capability. So I'm added here too in this final slide the notion of scale-out storage on the bottom right. As you start to connect all these systems together and use processes, rules, and events, you're generating a whole lot of new information, right? You're exposing information from systems that weren't otherwise exposing it. You're sharing a lot of information. There's a ton of information now flowing around your enterprise. This is good. And within this information lies opportunity, right? Opportunity for you to improve your business processes, opportunity for you to understand and serve your customers or your business better. You need a place to store all this information. Some of it you're going to use in real time, right? You're going to process it in or near real time to affect the current process. A lot of it you may archive off, or not really archive, you just store off and analyze at a later time, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe at the end of the quarter. But you're going to be amassing large volumes of data, and you need to think about how you're going to store and manage that effectively and cost effectively and efficiently so you can then leverage that later. So scale-out storage is really another part of the intelligent integrated enterprise. So this is the big picture, so about a product-agnostic view of the technologies and capabilities that you would bring to bear in implementing the intelligent integrated enterprise. Now I'll just flash over this and say, okay, so here's where the Red Hat and JBoss technologies that we offer right now fit into this picture. So you have at the center your core integration capabilities is your ESB and our SOA platform. That's going to provide the connectivity, transformation, routing, mediation capabilities, the raw connectivity, the raw services hosting, enablement. You're going to have the data services platform, which is going to provide your data integration, your data abstraction, your data virtualization to allow systems to be brought together, data systems to be brought together to create unified representations of your entities of interest. We have our newly launched data grid, which serves as a distributed cache, both for offloading read load or data read load from your back office data sources, as well as enabling your online applications to more efficiently serve data to high volume read workloads. You have Red Hat Enterprise Messaging. This is our AMQP-based messaging infrastructure. Native client support, open protocol as an integration, as a messaging at the protocol layer, at the messaging protocol layer. Very high performance. Because it's native code and has native clients, you can implement clients on various devices. It has support for things like C, C++, Java APIs, as well as Python, Ruby, others in the works. So it's very open to a variety of systems, protocols, and languages. We have our portal platform to enable you to deliver portal-style applications largely to your internal users within your business. And of course, delivering mobile applications through Enterprise Application Platform and some of the new tools we're releasing around AeroGear and other technologies, HTML5. You need to think about what interface is appropriate for the different constituencies in your enterprise. And lastly, and certainly not least, is the BRMS, which with JBPM and business process management technology. This is the new announcement, the combination of rules, process, and events, all handled in our BRMS. That's really where the intelligence comes from. This is a key differentiator for the Red Hat product stack. And actually, I neglected to mention Red Hat Storage as another product based on the Gluster acquisition recently. That would be a suitable technology for using for your scale-out storage. Now, as you've built this out, there are opportunities that you may look at to rework some of your existing applications as well. I mean, you're not just taking all what you have together, not changing these applications. You may look at your online customer-facing application and say, you know what, as part of this transformation, I might want to move that to a hosted PaaS and leverage the capabilities of something like Red Hat OpenShift. Likewise, my business services on the middle right there. If I'm building out my services and my shared services group, I need scalability, I need elasticity. I might want to build out a private cloud internally using a technology like CloudForms to give me the flexibility I need to handle the workload and hopefully increasing workload. If you're building services and have a shared services group, you want more and more people, more and more applications, more and more groups to use them. That means your load's going to go up, perhaps somewhat unpredictably or in a stepwise manner. So by having a hybrid or private cloud will give you that flexibility to deploy those services. So Red Hat has a constellation of technologies available to help you implement the intelligent integrated enterprise with both JBoss middleware and Red Hat technologies. I'm just going to pause there for a second. Any questions on this so far? Okay, great. So I'm going to just do a little more detail on the intelligence aspect of the intelligent integrated enterprise. So let's focus on business rules a little bit. So when you're implementing applications, as you're reworking your applications as part of building the intelligent integrated enterprise, it's really useful to think of your business logic or to rethink your business logic in terms of the level of consistency versus dynamism of the logic itself. So if your business logic is fairly structured or it's going to be fairly consistent through the deployed life cycle of your application, it's not going to change, or you don't anticipate it needing to change within a deployment life cycle, that's probably appropriate to implement in traditional language like Java. But if you have business logic that you want to be adaptive, you want it to change within the deployed life cycle of an application, perhaps you want to be able to change something very quickly. Think of you want to be able to allow your marketing team to run a marketing promotion for free shipping for a week. But then at the end of a week, you're going to roll that out. Well, you certainly don't want to change Java application logic to run a promotion for a week, redeploy your app, and retest it. Logic like that, you should consider implementing in business rules. By decoupling the implementation from your application code, it gives you a chance to change that much more easily without the full redeployment cycle of your application. It also allows people that are not your Java or your core developers, your application developers, to make these changes. Using a business rules management system, the business folks can make these changes if you want to let them. I mean, some folks probably here wouldn't cringe at the idea of business users making changes. Others absolutely want to involve the business user and allow them to make changes to the way their applications behave and interact with their customers. So think about, as you're building any application, whether it's part of a large-scale modernization initiative or just the next app you build, think about the code, whether it's consistent and unchanging or needs to be dynamic and adaptive, and consider business rules in the latter case. Let's talk a little bit about business process. This is the virtuous life cycle of a business process. If you're embarking on business process, it's a fantastic technology and journey to really unite your business and technology groups, your IT and your business. And they can work together. And in fact, we provide some really nice tooling to facilitate this. So you start at the top. Your business analyst will develop your business model. That is, your order processing process or what have you. You work with your process deployer to get that thing deployed into your operational systems. You have your consumer that's out there interacting with this. So a business process often involves human interaction, do things like approve things, comment on orders, provide additional information. You're involving users as well as systems. Really not shown here is you're using business process to coordinate automated activities between systems as well. And you come back around to the business owner that can monitor the success and progress of your business process and make improvements. And the cycle continues. So you're integrating your business folks, your technical folks, your end users, and your business owners to continue around the cycle and improve your business process over time. And lastly, no company exists in a closed silo. By embarking on an intelligent integrated enterprise and using some of these technologies, you can extend the capability and extend the intelligence out beyond your walls. So if you think of providing services out to your customers and partners, you can deliver not just applications that can come to your website and interact and purchase something from you, but you may want to offer services out to them. They could be programmatic services, web services that they can use to interact with you. Think of, Best Buy has a catalog API, so people can embed their catalog, reference that catalog API through a RESTful service. In the case of suppliers, if you're in the logistics business, you may want to expose your catalog information or other information about your business to your suppliers. Give them visibility into your needs ahead of time. Consume information from them about their likely delivery time frames and make adjustments in your business plans accordingly. And lastly here, think about it for those of you who are in highly regulated businesses where you have auditors and regulators coming in and visiting you regularly or asking you to submit proof that you are compliant with various standards and regulations. By abstracting out your business rules and implementing business process, it gives your business folks and these auditors a way to display and convey to the auditors that you are in fact compliant with the regulations without bringing your Java developer in to sit down and say, let me walk you through these procedures here that really, I assure you, help us comply with this regulation. It's a much more understandable, readable, and separable from your application's means of complying with regulations and demonstrating that under audit. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Pierre for a few words on the intelligent integrated healthcare scenario.
Thanks, Ken. So let's just, now that we've kind of walked through this a little bit, let's just touch on another scenario that shows that we talked about. It's not just about shipping or telecom or some of the examples we used before, but it applies across many different kinds of industries in different kind of ways. And this is a story that, if hopefully we haven't had it personally experienced, but we probably either have or know people that have. Things are getting better on this front, but there's still lots of opportunities and challenges. And the situation here up in the upper left-hand corner is a person, she's got a chronic condition that requires ongoing management of healthcare drugs and things like that. So she's on a regimen of drugs to manage a chronic condition. Doesn't matter what it is for this example. And she has a flare-up of some kind, needs to go to the hospital. Let's say that she's conscious and she can actually communicate the patient information to the people in the ambulance, but she has to do that verbally because the people in the ambulance don't really have access to information about her. And so they have to observe her condition, and if she can communicate, then she can tell them maybe a bit more, and they diagnose and do whatever they do to stabilize her and so forth. They get to the hospital, we got to go through the waiting room process or in the emergency room process, depending on the situation. And again, the hospital has some information online, but there's a bunch of stuff it can't find or doesn't have access to, and it collects whatever information they can from the person. Go to the exam room or in the hospital type situation where they've got to maybe it's the person's in there now talking with the doctors, going through a full regimen of exams, whether it be MRIs or whatever it might be. The person again is communicating information verbally that perhaps might be better suited to be accessed through remote things. But more importantly, let's say the person, they stabilized her, she's okay to go home after some amount of treatment that day or the next day, and they also have to issue some more prescriptions for some maybe new aspect of her condition. Well, the doctor's got to go off of memory here of what drugs interact and may not have full visibility to what kind of drug she's taking and prescribe something that's not necessarily good and it gives a bad interaction. She goes home after checking out, has a bad reaction, it's the wrong drug to mixes with the wrong drug, has to go back through the process again. This is not a very good situation, and this happens more often than we might think. Now, we think there's a better way, and again, I'm going to revisit this circle without presenting it all again. If we go do some of the things described, we do the things described in the slide, we have the ability to deal with health kinds of events, whether they be in the field or in the hospital. There's lots of devices in the hospital that generate events that are monitoring people. We can actually respond to those people and understand and respond with better health care. On the analyze side, you're leveraging something like data services. Data services can provide a holistic view of customer information and it encourages people maybe to put things like spreadsheets up online or documents, as well as relational databases and other things. We can get a better view of the patient, perhaps. And business process management can coordinate some of the paperwork here for us, maybe eliminate some of that. And so we go on to the intelligent integrated healthcare system. This is a vision. Our healthcare system in most parts of the world, and certainly in the United States, isn't quite to this level, although we're moving in this direction. Here's a situation now where the lady's sick up on the upper left hand. She's in the ambulance. The ambulance has mobile field devices. And these devices might be able to access information about this person, her prescription history and everything, through some of the infrastructure highlighted in the center in that back circle, so that the people in the ambulance now are not just observing her, but actually can act on other information about her, have a better response to her. In the meantime, the doctors and the people and the administrative personnel in the hospital have access to this, and we don't have to regurgitate all this information repeatedly, verbally, or manually. I'm not saying we can eliminate every manual aspect of it, but we certainly can get rid of some of the errors and some of the problems. And meanwhile, down here on the bottom, you see where the doctor is given a prescription. We can eliminate the drugs that would be a bad choice for her based on a holistic view of the patient, as opposed to some guesswork and some estimation verbally, and give a better prescription and yield a better result when she goes home and doesn't have to come back to the hospital system. So this is, this is the intelligent integrated healthcare system. And there's healthcare laws in the United States and other parts of the world that are mandating us move in this direction. And you don't go implement this all at once. There's actually, this is a vision for our healthcare system. You actually take projects and eliminate pain points along the way. Maybe you integrate the devices on the ambulance on your mobile healthcare fleet. Maybe that's a project. Maybe you want to get a better view of customers leveraging HIPAA type regulations and things like of the customers, health patients, and use data services. So you can pick projects along the way to move your healthcare system, and this is a provider view. There's also a payer, a whole other dimension to this on a payer side that I didn't articulate here because we only have a couple minutes to talk about this, and there's a level of complexity there to deal with. But these are the kind of technologies you use to fix this. So that's a vision for our healthcare system, leveraging these technologies, and I'm going to turn it back now to Ken, who's going to talk about our 5.3 products that we just announced in summary.
Great. I'm going to keep this a really high level. Just one slide to review. So, folks, anyone here attend any of my sessions yesterday, whether the CSWA BOP? Okay, great. So some of you have heard some of this. I'll just keep it an overview. If you have more questions about this with detail, pull us aside afterwards. We can get into some more detail with you. So on Monday of this week, we announced 3 new products, 3 new versions. So JBoss Enterprise BRMS 5.3, SOA Platform 5.3, and Enterprise Data Services Platform 5.3. BRMS is available and shipping now. It released on Monday. The SOA Platform and Data Services Platform are releasing target for July 11th, so the week of July 11th. So it's in final QA, so all but done. But I don't know if you've been following our news, we've pushed an enormous number of products out in the last month. So we couldn't get them all out basically in the same week. So a couple are going to follow in a short period of time. Let's go through these quickly. Really, the biggest area of new news is around the BRMS, and it's the implementation and integration of JBPM5. So JBPM5 is our next generation business process technology and workflow technology. It's based on BPMN2, which is business process modeling notation. It is the emerging standard for modeling business processes and representing them. And not only do we support the modeling notation in our tooling, both developer tooling and web tooling for analysts, the runtime engine is a native BPMN2 execution engine. So a lot of solutions in this space traditionally will take BPMN and down convert it to BPEL for execution. We don't do that. So it's a very exciting technology, and it really furthers us on the vision of unifying processing, business process, business rules, and event processing in the same offering. They're based on an architecturally consistent base. They're implemented by the same collaborative teams. Philosophically, these technologies are aligned. If you look at other products in the marketplace, there is no other product that stems from a consistent architectural base that addresses these capabilities. Other vendors, other large vendors out there often have 3 discrete products for this, and if you want to tackle all these problems, you'll be bringing in 3 discrete products and probably a lot of their services folks to hopefully make it work. These things were designed to work together, so it's a very powerful message and powerful capability. And likewise, following on that, it really extends. The BRMS is probably the most business user-focused technology we have. So both from a business rules management standpoint, the kind of interfaces we provide to business users, decision tables, spreadsheets for defining rules, as well as nice web-based graphical modeling tools, it really makes these capabilities available to the business analyst as well as the developer. Certainly developers can always use cool, easy-to-use business tools, but now the business user actually has some really nice interfaces to get their job done. With SOA Platform 5.3, the two big areas of news, there's lots of little things we can talk about offline, but we introduced support for Apache Camel. So we have a gateway in the ESB as a way for messages outside the ESB to get into the ESB and begin to be processed within our services. The Camel gateway allows the Apache Camel ecosystem of connectors and developers to more easily leverage and integrate with the ESB. How many folks out here know what Apache Camel is? Okay, good. So half or so. Really great, lightweight developer framework, very popular. It's a very simple routing model, very well used, has a nice ecosystem of components for different kinds of connectivity. So we're really extending the reach of our ESB to this ecosystem of Camel components. The other thing we focused on was interoperability with BRMS and, of course, JBPM5. We expect these products to be used together, to be deployed together, and people who want to use the new capabilities in JBPM5 with our existing ESB, both having services that can launch business processes and have a business process that can orchestrate services on the ESB. We've done a bunch of work to make sure these two technologies work together and you can use them successfully together. And lastly, Enterprise Data Services 5.3. The big news there is on two fronts as well. We introduced a tech preview for Apache Hive for folks who are using or dabbling in the Hadoop space or starting to play with big data. Hive is an adjunct project to Hadoop that allows Hadoop-based or HDFS-based data to be expressed relationally. But Hive has some limitations in terms of being usable by traditional SQL-oriented tools. And what Enterprise Data Services does, it allows you to use standard ANSI SQL and standard data access paradigms against Hive-based data, and then integrate that data with other data sources you have in your enterprise. It could be Salesforce.com, databases, files, et cetera. So you can bring the world of big data that you're storing and building up to bear with your existing data and serve that to your business processes, applications, and business intelligence products. And lastly here, within data services is support for expanded data sources. We added a couple data sources, some new performance improvements, and a lot of new tooling to really make the data services modeling process very easy for the new user. Cheat sheets, walkthroughs, step-by-step guides, some really nice stuff. So if you have any questions, certainly ask after the session here. Turn it back to Pierre.
Okay, let's just wrap up, why Red Hat? So Ken and I talked about this vision. We've talked about how we can help with this vision with our technologies and services and partners and ISVs and things that work with us in the ecosystem as well as our communities. But let's talk about a couple of things real quick. First of all, I think Ken hit on this pretty well, but the top half of the slide talks about how, I think we're differentiated in terms of putting the intelligence into the integrated enterprise with this unified environment for process rules and events built from the ground up to give you great productivity on that front. The second aspect, of course, is in the table. This is across our entire middleware portfolio. The traditional middleware providers and us, we have global customer bases. We have comprehensive middleware portfolios. But customer satisfaction, open source drives us to a higher standard. We have studies every year that we take through an independent party to understand where we stand customer satisfaction-wise. It's a very important component of our business. If we're not satisfying our customers in an open source world, they're going to leave. So it becomes, we don't lock you in like you do with these proprietary situations, so we must be very good at that. Fair and friendly virtualization pricing, as well as customer-centric subscription model. This is very ideal for virtualized environments. It helps. It's more cloud-friendly. We're set up for the license model or the models of software subscriptions in the cloud already. Our business model will not be disrupted like it will be for some of these proprietary guys. So we're going to be able to move these things to the cloud, starting with the AP6 that you heard about yesterday with OpenShift. But you're going to see some of these other technologies over the course of the rest of this year and our ESB and stuff coming as well. So. And just to touch on a little bit more about responding to change. While we're sitting here talking, we have a business event in the healthcare system that already happened in the last hour. And the good news is that we're using service-oriented techniques and we're using BPM, so we can respond to change. So we didn't have to wait until the Supreme Court made some decisions. We could actually implement our IT project with confidence regardless of what they decided or regardless of what happens downstream from the decision. We can substitute components and rearrange our business processes accordingly. And a lot of the stuff we were doing would apply no matter what happened. Well, the business event that occurred is Obamacare has been upheld 5-4 in its entirety. And so we were already marching down the path to implementing that in our vision for healthcare, so we're well along the way. So let me wrap up here. Next steps to take steps along this journey is review opportunities to use our application integration and BPM products, learn how we can help. We've got the Intelligent Integrated Enterprise story at getcontrol.jboss.com, lots of webinars, resource library, et cetera, lots of great partners that we work with that can help also help you build an intelligent integrated enterprise, and there's more products there. Also, review opportunities to discuss here to improve IT with flexibility with cloud and virtualization. And so we have a cloud resource center. We got the virtualization product center that you can take a look at as well. And if you wanted to take a look at these URLs, I'll just go back to here. It's getcontrol.jboss.com, and you can go to our website and find JBoss Enterprise Middleware pretty easily. It's the clouds under the cloud solutions and virtualization are findable too. So one last thing is that we didn't do a deep dive here. We did talk about a broad vision. We talked about our technologies and how they work together in that vision. There are some more sessions that are transpiring later on this afternoon. And here, we get some BRMS and BPM sessions we encourage you to attend starting at 1:20. I'm going to do a panel in the room 208 with some of our customers about integration and BPM. Birds of a feather going on simultaneously, unfortunately. I guess somehow we got those two together there. And Switchyard. Switchyard's our next generation ESB at 4:50. You can hear from Keith Babbo, who's leading that as well. So with that, follow us, read the blogs. We'll open it up for questions. Yes?
How does the announcement yesterday on the service mix, how does that affect the product portfolio?
So let me start on that. That's a good question. And we believe it's a very positive thing. It's something I've certainly been working toward and pushing for along with Ken. I think the biggest part of the news there is Camel. You saw how we were talking about bringing Camel in. Camel is going to be one of the de facto standard for enterprise integration pattern implementation, which is really going to become the easiest way to do these integration scenarios we're talking about, along with this ecosystem. There's a great team in FuseSource that is now going to be joining us. We announced the intent. We still got to close the deal, right? Of course, but there's a great team going to be joining us there that is a great complement to our strategy with Switchyard going forward. So I think that's probably the biggest piece of the news. Of course, as we move forward from either Fuse ESB or our SOA platform into Switchyard, we're going to bring the best of those worlds forward and make it easy to get to the cloud, to a cloud-designed, cloud multi-tenant enabled version 6 of our platform that'll bring together a larger customer base and a larger ecosystem of components that's going to be able to take integration to a level that we've kind of dreamed about in the industry for a long time. I don't know, Ken, if you got some things you want to add?
That was great. Details TBD. I mean, ActiveMQ has a lot of adoption in the community. It's a successful product with FuseSource. There's smart people there, and we're going to be working out those details. I mean, really, the thing about Camel is we've already started down the path of embracing Camel independently ahead of this, and it really allows us to strategically bet on Camel and build on the ecosystem and excitement that's out there around it. So, and not just that, but they're an open source integration company too. So it really sort of cements our capabilities and capacity in the open source integration space. It's very exciting. Yes?
If we're not going to go with Camel, we already have primary ESB, whether it's MP broker,
Mm-hmm.
we have the BRMS and BPM products. Have those to do the event driven?
So BRMS itself is really kind of container agnostic. The runtime for that is essentially a jar file. It can run in the JVM. So really, and we have customers that are deploying BRMS runtimes in applications on WebSphere, on Tomcat. So it really is sort of platform agnostic. So you have a lot of flexibility there. Our ESB currently interoperates too with MQ Series 6 and 7, as well as Tibco EMS 5. So you can use other messaging providers. So if you're on a backbone, an established messaging backbone, you can still use our technology on top of that. So you have integration points there as well.
And you can leverage our BRMS is designed to provide intelligence in enterprises that are using other integration platforms. You can plug, you can use those services in a heterogeneous or a different environment. Our data services likewise can work and provide data services and be registered. Those services can be registered on a different UDDI registry in a different platform, like a WebSphere ESB or something like that. Sure. Anything else? Well, we thank you all for joining us today and the Red Hat Summit and JBoss World. Enjoy the rest of the day. Attend some of these sessions we suggested, and look forward to seeing you at Fenway Park tonight.
Thanks, everyone.